Hey guys, so surprised to know that I had a conversation with Jonas this week. I bet you guys didn't know. And I wanted to explain how we ended up where we are tonight. Go ahead, Jonas.
Yeah. So Brian called me yesterday afternoon. I was at work and he had a message from God to tell me. And that message was very simple but deep for me personally. And it was just for me to take in. So he had to quickly rush off the phone, but I stopped him and I said, "Hey, Brian, I have a question." And I was just asking him about like the Christian walk and the journey. And I asked him, "Is this supposed to be this hard?" And he said, yes, of course. And he told me that he had struggled and been depressed for 7 years, walking in God and being frustrated at times. And, he had a eureka moment. In that moment, he said, yes, I have what we're going to speak about on Friday, create a post that to share about a believer's journey in God. And that's how we arrived to today.
Excellent. And so the point, and it's funny, Jonas, I get off the phone with you, and Vanya asked me the exact same question.
Wow.
She's like, she's like, is this supposed to be? I said, I can't believe you're asking me this. I said, I just had this conversation with Jonas. And so here's the point of tonight. And sometimes in our Christian journey, and I'm a human being, and I'm trying to convey with you and converse with you about God. Sometimes we take for granted some basic things about life um, that totally cannot be missed. They're so important. And tonight um, is this supposed to be hard? Am I supposed to struggle? Is this normal? What's normal? What is this? What is supposed to happen? And I thought, man, what a great way for us to just take a step back for a second, and reflect on every single person who's ever lived in the Bible. Think about it for a minute. Yet we guys, they were human just like you. They were exactly human like you. Like they weren't super humans. They weren't. Now, they had different things that God did to them at a certain point. But before that point, they were all just human beings like us. I mean, the 12 tribes of Israel could go on a Zoom call before their dad even blessed them, and not even they could sit there and all of them, right? Reuben, Simeon, Asher, Naphtali, Joseph, Benjamin. They could all sit and talk in a Zoom call about, how's life, how's shepherding, blah, 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 and they don't know what's coming. They don't know what is the big purpose? What is the big plan? What's the journey? Here's a question for you. Did anybody tell Moses what the process was to meeting God?
No,
Did anybody tell Paul?
no,
Did anybody tell Peter?
no,
Abraham?
no.
Nope.
They just were living their part of their life, and then, and I say this with my tongue in my cheek, God comes along and totally ruins it. Think about it. Now, the conversation tonight is like, well, I got to stop. I got to say this to you. I had a really amazing thought. Take a minute and think about this. Do you realize that God has given you the ability to know his son?
Mm.
Now you may sit like you know, he wants everybody to come to the knowledge, but the truth is that guys are going to walk around with turbans and long dresses and never accept Christ because they're stooped into a religion that rejects Christ. And that's not you. You actually, I don't know how to, I don't want to complicate it, but make it simple, but Jesus allowed you to know him. And you started, you've connected. And I'm telling you, think about this. God separates the sheep from the goats. Imagine how you feel as a sheep, and then imagine how you'd feel if you were a goat. God made you sheep, and we miss what he's done because we're all caught up with the process. And then we think our process is because there's something wrong with us. I'm going to say something and then I'm going to get you to give you some examples, but I want to say something about each and every one of you. Do you realize? Wait, I got to say one more thing. Wait, I got to say something else first. Do you know when you're the most beautiful to God? This is going to blow you away. Do you know when you're your most beautiful to God?
You're
When you're
broken?
at your, pardon?
I was just guessing, sorry.
What'd you say?
I said when you're broken?
Not just broken, but when you're your worst broken.
Mm.
When you are your worst broken, that's when the whole concept of meeting Jesus is the most beautiful.
Mm.
That's when it's the most beautiful. Why do I say that? Because Jesus will never shine more brightly than when you're in your utter darkness.
Hmm. Whatever.
Your journey, guys, if you each and every one of you think about your journey, let me just be topical, just general, vague, where you were born, who your parents were, how you were treated as a kid, all the nasty things you've ever done in your life when you just didn't care for God, all the mean things you've done, all the mean things that were done to you. Your everything in your life is the point about where he wants to take you. But what we do is we look at our brokenness and all we do is complain about it. All we do is lament about everything. All we do is loathe where we came from, what we did, not realizing that that was God's plan. Like he's Lord of that. He's Lord of that because he wants you to arrive at this place, but he has to do stuff to you to get you there. Give me somebody in the Bible who wants to go first. Who wants to go first? Okay, Andrew. I want you to now. You don't have to be. And I just want to say this because
Go
I
ahead,
don't.
Jonas. My bad. I didn't see Jonas's hand.
No. I said Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Um, I want you to like. I want you just share an example of a guy's life. Don't get preachy, but just give the practical example of somebody in the Bible that you could think of who um, went through this whatever you want to call it, meeting God, journey to God.
It's gonna sound like a weird one, but
There's
I'll
no,
tie it
it's
in later.
okay. Go ahead.
Cain. Cain, when he gave his offering or his offering to God, and God didn't regard his offering, and God said, "Why is your countenance fell?" And he told him to master his like his emotions. His sin
Okay,
is waiting.
this is the opposite of what I'm going for.
I know, but I was
No,
gonna tie into something you said earlier.
no, I want to tie into people finding God, not being thrown away.
I know what you're saying. That's why I
I
was like,
went like,
I'll wait.
no. Okay, so listen, the point of this exercise is people that you can relate to, even that went through something in the Bible and they found God, not that they they never made it. I mean, I think Cain was the first guy in hell. That's sad. I just thought of that. Cain,
I,
number
it's
one.
something you said earlier. That's why I brought it up. Because
Cain's
it's
number
something
one.
Wow.
that.
Uh, give me a Bible example of who. Take 10 minutes to think of somebody else. I want to give you another crack at it. Who,
All right.
Jonas, did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
Jonas, and then Josh
Yeah.
was on. Josh is just dying to. Josh just loves jumping in on the
Yeah.
free
I
falls.
had I had a previous example, but this just popped into my head. So it's very generic, the prodigal son,
Okay.
right? And like his father was the embodiment of God's love, and us being the prodigal sons.
Okay. Forget about us. I
Okay,
want you to
so
talk.
personal.
I want you
Okay.
to be. Nope. I want you to talk about the son. Be specific about his journey. This is the point.
Right. So
What did he
basically
do?
he basically said, "Yo, I don't care. I'll give you my inheritance. I'm gonna go live however I want to live."
Right.
And he walked off into the wilderness, lived a backwards life, sinful life. And when he reached his wit's end and realized the muck that he was in, it dawned on him, or he remembered his father.
Okay, I'm going
Too
to
much?
help you because I'm
Okay.
going to help. Stop.
Okay. Okay.
It's okay, but here's what I'm trying to get after. Here's where I'm trying to go.
Mm.
Because you're skipping over the important pieces. Okay, this is
Mhm.
what I'm going for. Did the prodigal son leave his family?
Yeah.
Can you
Yes.
guys
Yes.
relate to being disconnected from family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So he went and lived a life that didn't include, like, it was just a free for all. He just was young, impetuous, and just thought he knew better and wanted. Now, I know a lot of you got to understand this. Like, you remember when you just lived for the moment? You were just living life, having fun. Like, there's no end. There's no end
Mm.
to this
Hmm.
party. That's what he was doing.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Mm.
then, and then he went into deep poverty. And he just didn't go into deep poverty. He actually came to a place. Well, listen, he came to a place, Jonas, where nobody cared about him. Now, this is going to be hard for you to hear, guys. I mean this with my heart. I'm not trying to run anybody down. You'd be lucky on one hand to count the number of people that actually care about your life. You'd be lucky when you die to have a handful of people who actually, I mean, listen, I mean, literally care about your life.
Mm.
The prodigal son had nobody. And when he realized that nobody cared about him and he had no provision, the Bible says he came to his senses and said, and I'm paraphrasing, but my father's good. Hey, Christian, my father's good. I'm gonna go back home. So everybody comes to this place where the world's not good to you. Sin's not fun. The wages of sin is death. There's no life in the stuff that you're doing. And you come to your senses, and all of a sudden you go, I'm going back to Jesus. I'm going to go to Jesus because I hear the way Jesus treats everybody is good. So just generically talking like this, every one of us has done the prodigal trip. Some of you are still trying to get out of the pig pen and really, really connect really get to the house of God and get connected and have him clothe you and make you a son or a daughter. The prodigal son. I want us to be really, I want you to go deep into it. No vagueness, because there's a process. In every person's life, there's a process that brought them to the revelation that where they were or what they've lost is profound. And for the prodigal son had to lose absolutely everything and come to the absolute bottom before he became wise enough to go back home. Now, think about that. Is that you? Is that why some of you struggle? Because you have to be brought so low to the end of yourself until you realize how good God really is, and you can actually come back to him. Is that you? Okay, that's an example. Sorry, Jonas, that I did that, but I want us to dive into the humanity of this guy. Has any of you lost everything? Have any of you experienced that do you know when I realized that? No, I can't make this garbage up, guys. I swear I can't make this up. When I gave my life to Jesus Christ, I literally had no phone numbers of anybody I could call to tell them that I was a Christian because they cared about me. They wanted to be my friend. I didn't have any friends. Nobody. Zero. Zero. I can't even make this up. No friends. So when the prodigal son is in the pig pen and nobody cares about him, I'm like, I get that. God says it was the journey. See, because the prodigal son had to learn what it was like to not be a son to such a degree that when he became one, he would honor it so much more. Here's what most people don't know is that when the prodigal son returned home, the father gave him the first son's blessing. He gave him the firstborn son's blessing, just like Joseph got from Abraham. The blessing is supposed to go to the firstborn, but the firstborn, when the prodigal son returned home, even his brother who claimed to be in the family, guys, pretend you're the older brother on the call tonight. You're the older brother, and you don't give a crap that anybody comes to Jesus. Oh, I gotta mute that. Um, there's always an older brother when you're becoming a son or a daughter. There always is. What do you mean, Brian? Well, think about the people who don't care that you go to church. Think about the people who don't invite you to church. Think about the people who get jealous of you because you do show up for church. Think about all that. This is why I'm delving into a person in the Bible. I want their humanity to come out so that we can go, man, I've felt rejection. I've been at a place where I couldn't eat. Nobody cared about me. I've been not loved by people in my own house. Is it registering? God said that's his journey to coming to me. Now, a lot of his decisions were driven by him, but that's how he had to get to where God wanted him. Who was after Jonas? I know you got your hand up, John Betts, but I think, Josh, did you have your hand up? Okay, wait. Okay. John Betts.
uh, Zacchaeus comes to mind. So Jesus is already being performing ministries. He hear about Jesus who taking sinners, and he's a tax collector. And he hears that Jesus is coming by. He wants to go see him, but he's too short. But he does everything he can to see Jesus and climbs up the fig tree. And before he doesn't talk to Jesus at first. Jesus spoke to him and told him to
Right.
come down. Everyone else around there is already judging him, like, why are you taking in this tax collector? Like they've done repeatedly. And he talks about, look, I know I've messed up. I've cheated people, and I want to make that right. And his him going through the process of realizing that he is a sinner and he's repenting and he wants to do things right and move forward. And doing everything he can to be with Jesus for that matter too.
Everything's great. I just want to, I'm a stickler for Bible.
Okay.
Zacchaeus never testified he did anything wrong.
I'm getting myself mixed up.
No, you just misunderstood. He said, if I have ripped somebody off, I'll repay them. If I have. He never said he did. But the
Okay.
story's great. The story's great. So what can we look at Zacchaeus? Zacchaeus gets no local support. He's got a bad reputation, and and I like this. I'm going to say this because it's cute, but it's punny. He had to climb his way to the top. No, no, listen to me. Listen to me. Why is this important? Well, how many of you guys were born to privilege? How many of you guys, got a high influential leader in the church who just ushers you along, brings you to Jesus, elevates you in front of everybody? How many of you got that?
Nope.
The truth of the matter is most people would rather stand in our way than get behind us. Most people want to stand in our way. That's a saying, by the way, DJ. Most people want to stand in our way than get behind us. And I literally mean that. How many, now, you don't have to answer the question, but how many people in this physical world do you literally have that you can count on that are behind you and you know it? They're 100% committed to helping you get to the top of that tree. See, because he climbed it himself, nobody helped him. And the reason why he had to do it is because everybody wanted to be a groupie and stand on the side of the road and celebrate and not think about the church judges people who walk in the door, just like the crowd judged Zacchaeus for walking down the street. And instead of knowing that Zacchaeus needs Jesus and moving him to the front so he could find Jesus, everybody wanted to get in the way because they cared more about themselves than they did about Zacchaeus. But here's my question. Of all the people that were standing there, which person did Jesus gravitate to? Zacchaeus, right? He was the hardest working worship person there. He was the hardest working worship person there. And guess what? He got Jesus's attention. So here's my question. We sit around and we think we loathe ourselves, or we talk down on ourselves about where we are in our life and what we've been through. Are you doing that, or are you climbing a tree? See, because climbing the trees work. Climbing the tree says, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do whatever I can do to get my best view. And when you do that, Jesus brings you into full view. I'm going to say it again. When you try to get your best view, Jesus will pull you into full view. It's amazing. It's a good one, John Betts. Nicholas Alexander III.
The lady with the hemorrhage who touched
Okay.
Jesus' cloak. So her story as she went, so she was suffering with this hemorrhage for like 12 years, and she went to like many doctors, and no one could, or physicians, no one could like cure her. And I'm thinking about her like personally, like, because she was suffering with the hemorrhage, she was considered like ritually unclean, right? In the Jewish culture. And so that there was this feeling of isolation, um, and just obviously dealing with this illness. And so obviously, so she heard about Jesus in town. She heard about all the things that Jesus was doing, and uh, everyone else did too, and they're all gathered around him. And she pressed through. She was pushing through the crowd, and I imagine in this moment, she'd been dealing with this for 12 years, and she knew that she wasn't allowed to be there, because of the Jewish traditions, but still she said, you know what, I've gotta just she said if I just touch his cloak, just the fringe of his robe, then I would be
I gotta say
healed.
that I
Yeah.
gotta stop you right here for a second because this is really good. Because this is gonna be an aha moment for a bunch of you guys right now. To be ritually unclean is to be dirty. So she felt dirty. Now, guys, track with me. How do you feel when you sin? Don't answer the question. You know what? You know the difference between you and the woman at the well? She knew she was dirty and she went for it. We feel dirty and we run and hide like Adam. Keep going, Nick.
Um, and so she was pushing through, and then she, yeah, she did touch the fringe of his cloak, and then Jesus stopped and he said, who just touched me? And then his disciples, like Peter, I know Peter was there. Peter was like, what do you mean? There's all these people here bumping on you. Like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And then, but Jesus was like, no, I felt power go from me. Who touched me? And the woman, she was like in fear. That she like not like she was trembling. She was trembling before Jesus, and she was just on her knees. But she had been fully healed. But she was like, she almost felt bad for touching Jesus, like she couldn't have. But then Jesus said, uh, "Your faith has made you well." And he called her daughter. I forget exactly what he said, but he said, like, be free. Your faith has made you well.
Um, did you say she pushed her way through the crowd?
Yeah, that's what I said. Is that not right?
No, it is right. I want you to think about that statement.
Yeah.
No, think about it. Track with me right now.
Okay. People are in their way.
So
A lot
she
of
had,
people in their
so
way there.
watch, so watch, so watch. I'm gonna get legal on you because she was legally not allowed to touch people.
Yeah.
Did she break the law?
Yeah. She
Do you
wrote, yeah,
wonder
broke
why
the
she was,
Jewish
do
law.
you wonder why she was afraid?
Because
Come
because
on.
of breaking the law, she had to be put to death or something.
No, we don't have to go that far, but she broke the law. She broke the law and she didn't realize that the man she touched fulfilled the law.
Yeah.
She touched the very person that was her lawyer in her case.
Right.
Because guess what you couldn't prove? Guess what you couldn't prove after she touched Jesus? That she was unclean. Because she had no flow of blood.
Oh,
He says, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. And I love that. Guys, Guys, let me just do this. If you feel dirty, you don't feel like a son or a daughter.
Right.
You don't. You think you're a sinner, you're pathetic, you're a terrible person. You think anything but the fact that you're a son or a daughter. She came and touched him because she knew if she did that she'd be made well. And she was doing it to become clean, and he was doing it to make her whole. I'm going to say that again. The woman wanted to be clean, but Jesus wanted to make her whole. She touched him and said, the blood's dried up. And he said to her, your relationship is leveled up. We are now in relationship because, and by the way, how, if Jesus isn't God, how can you call her daughter? Come on, man. This Bible, it's just powerful. It just speaks, it just reveals all the time truth within truth within truth. She was his daughter, and he restored her. He restored her mind, body, soul, spirit, whole package, because that's what he's interested in. Good one, Nick. I really liked it. So next time you have an issue of blood going on, just determine, listen, even if you break the law, man, push through and be like, how many of us can actually say we've been that determined to touch God? That was something, Andrew, that I was kind of trying to, now that we're talking, this is something that I was trying to uh, say to you, is that there's this pushing through because you are so determined that you're going to touch God. And when I was telling Jonas that I was depressed for so long, is because I couldn't break through. But hey, I didn't bleed for 12 years. I bled for 7. I got a reprieve. He gave me 5-month break. But how determined are you, despite your circumstances, to press through to get to God? I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to make anybody feel small, but your life is a reflection of your determination to see God. Your life is a reflection of your determination to see God. I love I love the people that complain about their relationship with God, that it's not as good as they want it to be. I love you people. I do. You're my favorite. My least favorite are people who never talk about it. They never bring it up. They never bring up about how they, like, I love you guys when you're like, oh man, I wish I could hear God's voice, man. I wish I could get in his presence. I wish I could like prophesy. I wish I could hear his voice. I wish I could see healings. I wish I could see more people say, you're real. You're the prodigal son. You're the woman with the issue of blood. You're Zacchaeus. Do you see what they all have in common, by the way? Zacchaeus had to climb a tree. Woman had to push through a crowd, and the son had to go back home. He had to drag himself back home and even accept that he would not be a son. See what they had to do? See the work they had to put in? Okay, somebody else. Give me somebody. So who else wants to share somebody? By the way, does anybody not know what we're talking about tonight, or how many of you guys don't know what we're doing tonight? Everybody knows. Okay. And
A story.
pardon?
I think I have a story.
Listen, please, guys, don't be afraid. Like, let's talk.
Okay.
Go
Um,
ahead.
my story is actually like my favorite story. It's John 9, and it's with the blind man who,
Bartimaeus,
pardon?
blind Bartimaeus.
Is that his name? The one that
I don't
went,
know.
it's the one where the guy was blind, like he was blind from birth, and I think he was like a beggar outside of the street, and he wanted to, he
Right. I
see
like this guy.
from,
Yeah.
couldn't see. And it just made me think of like, we asked this question, like, why does it feel this way? And I think like in the scripture, uh, I think Jesus had respond back and he was just like, like like it was not that this man sinned, but he or sinned like from his parents, but the works of God might be displayed in him. Like that was Jesus' response to him.
This
And
is so good.
it
So
just made
good.
me think about like him being blind from birth, and then here it is, Jesus like did the mud on his eye, and it didn't happen like right away. And it made me think about like, like when you try to make progress, he had to like go to this pool blind. He had to have faith and be obedient. I'm butchering this story, guys.
No, the only part you butchered was he did get healed instantaneously. That was another guy.
Oh, that
He did
no, but
get
this guy, I thought Jesus had put the mud on his eye and told him to go to
no,
the
he went
pool.
to the pool of Siloam and washed.
Right. And then he was able to see.
Right, but this isn't the story of the guy who he put mud on his eyes and he couldn't see at first, and then he could see. The
Right.
guy who he did that to, he didn't put anything on his eyes. He just prayed for him.
Right. That one was right away. Yeah.
That's different.
Yes.
No, John chapter 9, Jesus put the putty on the guy's eyes and told him to go wash, and he saw it instantaneously. There's another story where a guy was blind and he said, "What do you see?" He said, "I see men as trees." And then he said, "What do you see now?" And he said he sees clearly. That was a different story. I just read it.
Okay.
I
No,
just read because I want to track with you.
let me, can I make it? Verse 6, he said, when he said this, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle and applied
Right.
clay to his eyes
And
and
said
said to him, go and
go
wash
wash.
in the pool of Siloam, which is translated sent. So he went
Yeah.
away, washed, and came back seeing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's what I just said though.
You said he got instantaneously healed. He went
So
When he washed, I
washed.
said.
Oh,
when
okay.
he
I'm
washed.
sorry. Thank
No,
you.
no.
Yeah.
When he washed.
When he washed.
What?
Yeah.
Never mind. I love this story. It's a great one. Go back to it. You're doing great. Go back to it. Go,
Yeah.
DJ.
So
It's
I don't know.
good.
So I guess I just resonated with this one because like he was blind in this condition all his life. And
Let's camp there for a second. Let's camp there for just a second because I want to humanize it.
okay.
Anybody here blind? I get you, Andrew.
That's what
I, we
partially.
think about what you said because it's powerful. Jesus said so that the work of God would be displayed in him. His cross was he had to be all those years blind. And we don't take for granted. I mean, we take for granted our eyesight. We don't ever we I don't know about you. I'll just speak for me. I had eye surgery. So until I had eye surgery, I didn't worry about my eye. I turned 50 and all of a sudden, actually I think it was 40. I turned 40 something and then all of a sudden words were getting blurry on the page, small writing I couldn't see, and then all of a sudden, oh boy, I have to start dealing. I think about this. Let's humanize this. You, this person, God wanted to demonstrate his power in him and make him a testimony in the Bible. Could you imagine if Jesus walked up to you and said, hey, Nick, I'm going to make it so you can't see the world for the first 38 years of your life. And then for the last 30, I'll allow you to see, but I'm going to put you in the Bible. I'm gonna put you in a book and everybody's gonna know about you. Like how many, like who would do that? I'd be like, I'll tell you what, I'll pass on the book. How about I just see, we call it a day? Because honestly, think about it, right?
Mm.
Deja, here's the thought. This now, guys, this is a really important point. Okay. Deja, did the guy ever testify that he was blind? And it's not a trick question. Think about it. When he was blind, what did he do?
He did. I mean, at the end, he said, I am blind and now I can see at the end of it.
Right, right. But his testimony, his whole life was he kept telling everybody that he was blind.
Yeah.
I'm blind. I'm blind. I'm blind. Could you imagine? Like that's a sad that's a
That's,
sad testimony.
oh,
He testified and said I was blind, but now I what?
now I can see.
Now I can see. That was his testimony. Let's get deep on this right now. I've said this before, and I don't think people quite understand it. You're never going to come to a place of seeing until you acknowledge, like truly acknowledge that you're blind.
Mm.
That was my garage door opening. If you heard a noise, it was my garage door opening. Um, Billy would understand what I'm saying when I say this. The hardest thing to get somebody to do is understand revelation when they're blind.
You can't.
You can't ever. It's the profundity of it would be this, not knowing that Jesus is the Savior of the world.
Do you,
Not knowing. Sorry, go ahead, DJ. It's okay.
So I said, is that why, like, like when we get to a point in our journey, we're like, it's so hard, it's so hard. Like, is that like being fine?
One second. I'm on a call right now.
I'm sorry. Can you please like set it up for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you transfer the stuff from my this one's for Austin.
Okay.
Hold on, can you transfer the stuff from my iPod?
Hi,
Can they hear
Sierra.
me? Oh,
Hi.
oopsies. I didn't know they could hear me.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Hi. Is this a bad timing?
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. How's dancing?
Great.
Come and say hi, and then I'm gonna have to do this later because I'm in the middle of a call. Okay, I'll do this later. Okay, I promise I'll do it. Just don't be so excited. Relax.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get it done. Get it done.
Tomorrow or?
No, I'll do it tonight.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it tonight after I'm done the call. Billy,
yeah.
I had the most. You have grandkids. You would appreciate this.
Mhm.
I had the most incredible experience. I gotta just segue for 1 second, guys, because Sierra just reminded me, and it's worth. I'm sitting in my living room. My granddaughter Evie is over, and Evie reads her Bible every night. Evie was in my car. She says, Papa, she says, you read your Bible every single day. I said, yeah, I pretty much do. She goes, so do I. I read my Bible all the time. I said, does anybody else? She goes, nope, just you and me. We just read our Bibles all the time. And you know what her favorite story is? Guys, she's 7, 8 years old. You know what her favorite story is in the Bible? This is going to kill you. Queen Esther. She told me the story about how Queen Esther saved the Jews from death. Show me. But Billy, this is the proud
Yes.
moment. I'm playing a game on my cell phone. I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'm hearing Austin talking at the top of his voice. Now, Austin's 3. And I'm listening to Austin, and Austin goes, yeah, but what is it? And Evie's going, "This is my Bible." He goes, "I know, but what is it?" And Evie is explaining to my 3-year-old grandson what the Bible is.
Wow.
I was just like, God, man, thank you.
Yeah.
That's such a, could you imagine just having to eavesdrop on that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because you can't get it any simpler than a kid, a 7-year-old kid trying to tell a 3-year-old kid what the Bible's all about. It doesn't get any purer than that. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a sideways. Anyway, let me come back. That's good news. I love that.
Yeah.
I then said to my granddaughter, I said, "You ever catch your mom and dad reading their Bible?" Oh boy, I know how to stir up the hornet's nest. She says, "Nope." I said, "You might want to get on that." And that, and then, my daughter, anyway, you got to be careful with your son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws because son-in-laws, you can get in trouble, right? So anyway, hey, I just got to tell you guys this. My son-in-law, he knows nothing about God, right? So Austin's walking through the house all the time saying to his dad, "Can you read me a Bible story?" It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. It's just that we read to him in our bedroom, and then he's not good enough with he wants to read it every night.
Yes.
So then he goes to his dad for it, right? And you don't plan that, but when you see it unfold, you laugh because you're going, "Oh, that's wicked." What a way to get at them. Okay, let's go back to DJ. I don't want to lose this for a minute. I don't want to lose this for a minute. That was really, really, really good. So this guy had to endure a lot so God could put him in the Bible and he could have this one act of God's powerful mercy and grace on his life. Now, here's a question. How do you guys know? Don't answer it. Just think about it. How do you guys know what powerful thing God wants to do through you, through your life? What mark he's got for you the day that he's got for you? How do you know? How do you know? Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Just had to fix something. How do you know? Don't answer the question. Don't answer the question. But I'm going to say to you guys, how do you know that God doesn't have something powerful that he wants to manifest in your life for a certain time? He says, "I'm the Lord God, I change not." Listen, he may do things differently, but he doesn't change. He may do things differently, but he doesn't change. Every one of you guys who believe in Jesus Christ are a candidate to be something and to do something for him. Okay? Amy, before you share, I want to say something. Sister Amy, let me lower your hand. Did you unmute yourself yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I know you like to get preachy. I want you to share. I want you
No,
to
no, I'm
share, but
sharing,
I
I'm
don't.
sharing.
No. You're feeling better, by the way?
Yes, I am. Don't worry,
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah. So share a story. You know what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Share a story. Don't preach. Humanize it. I want you to relate it so we can do it. You know what we've been doing. Go ahead.
Okay, like me, I was going through Ruth, the story
Your
of now.
audio is terrible.
Oh, I think I'll come back. I'll come back. Hold on.
Christian. John, your brother's happy.
Well, I know he is.
He just typed in the messages, read, pray, worship, and then a big laughy face with tears.
I'm sure this is
Christian,
hitting home.
we don't want to hit nobody. Does anybody else want to? Yeah, come on, Donna. I was waiting. It's like Jeepers, like Donna, come on, hello.
I'm
Okay, now.
I'm practicing just waiting.
Awesome.
It's
Awesome.
so Deja, it's so awesome that you brought up the blind man because I wrote notes on him today. Like I just read about him and the things that he went through. One of them that rang out to me was after he saw and he was sent, right? His parents abandoned him and left him by himself to the Pharisees because they were afraid that they would get kicked out of the synagogue. But his parents did not stick up for him, and he had to bear that alone. And then, what else? What else did I write? Not only that, in a way, he was called a hypocrite. It's like the Pharisees were like, "Wow," because he was saying, they say, asked, "How did you get healed? How did you get healed? Who was this man? How did he do it? I don't know how he did it, but all I know is this man healed me," right? And they kept pressing him, "Well, how?" And he goes, "Well, do you want? Are you going to become his disciples too?" And they got mad at him and said, "Basically, you're a sinner. You're trying to teach us the ways of God." And I literally wrote hypocrite. Because many of us, when we get saved and when we get healed, this is after when Jesus heals us, and now we're starting a new journey. We're going to be called hypocrites, and we're not going to be listened to. And I don't mean that as a Debbie Downer, but that's what rang out to me today when I read the story.
Okay. Who spoke? Who spoke?
I was just saying
Don't mute yourself, Donna.
Oh,
okay.
I was just saying it's definitely a journey, like the whole story of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for context, Jewish context, I need to tell you a couple of things about the story. If you go back and read the story, anybody who was over a certain age was able to testify on their own behalf, and their word had to be taken. The parents withdrew because they were afraid they'd get kicked out of the temple. So
Right.
here's the question. So they didn't know Jesus.
No.
They didn't know Jesus.
No, they didn't.
And
they
so
even said he's of age. They said themselves he was of age. He could speak.
because they're literally a Jewish culture,
right.
There was an age where they could speak for themselves, and the parents did not have to speak. So basically, I want to say this to you. When the Pharisees dragged the parents into the courtroom, it was ridiculous, redundant, and irresponsible, because they were only doing it to prove that the guy was never blind. They didn't need to bring the parents in.
Right.
They just didn't want to hear the truth.
Right. Right.
The parents didn't know Jesus. Here's my question. Here's the thought. Here's the thought. What you notice, just a thought, humanize. The guy was grateful that he could see,
Right.
but he never expressed disappointment in the way people treated him.
Right.
Are we like that?
No.
Just a question. I'm just food for thought.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's strange that and remember the context. This man saw Christ. He didn't just get his sight back. Huge difference. Because he asked a question at the end of the story. Jesus said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" And he asked the question. He said, "Who is he that I may worship him?" And he said, "It's him who is speaking to you and who you hear." And he worshiped Jesus. And now this again, I always dog you guys about being blind and then being able to see. I dog you about it all the time. But you see, that's just part of the journey. See, because my question is, what are you going to do when you do begin to see?
Right.
Can I tell you what happens to most people?
Yes.
They get so proud that they go and self-destruct. You've seen them actually do it and didn't realize that that's what happened. The worst person, almost the hardest person to speak to, is somebody who sees Jesus, and then all of a sudden, it's like, let me just say this: it's like if I brought a guy in off the street, and he has only 1 week in Jesus Christ, and he tells the entire group, "Hey guys, listen, I'm going to start leading the meetings. Don't come and sit under Brian's teaching anymore. Come on, guys, I'm going to show you this way." We have seen that. We've actually seen this. But it's interesting. Now listen to me. I don't know if we caught this or not. The man went from blind to seeing, and he asked the Pharisees a question.
Yeah.
He didn't ask them if they wanted to get saved.
Yes.
He didn't even ask them if they believe in Jesus. He didn't even do that. He asked a very specific, profound question that we don't ask. Here's what he said. You don't want to become his disciple too?
That's how he said it. Yeah.
He went right, he went right to discipleship
Yeah.
from being blind. Now, wait a second. I want you to think for a second. When you got saved, did you go from saved to discipleship? Or did you go to saved to counseling? Saved to backsliding? Saved to falling away? What happened? I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's a great story, Donna and DJ. That was great. That was really great. I really love that. That was so good. Jay Fighton.
Um,
You got, by
the
the way, just
story.
before you say anything, are you guys enjoying this? Is this good? We enjoying this? Is this okay? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Jay.
The story of the 10, 10 lepers.
Ooh,
Jesus was on his way from Jerusalem, on his way
yeah,
to Jerusalem and passing between Samaria and the Galilee. He
yeah.
entered a village, and at a distance, 10 lepers met Jesus,
Mhm,
asking Jesus to have a mercy on them. And he
mhm.
told them to go show themselves to the priest. And as they were heading towards the priest, they were healed. And only one of them returned, fell on his face at Jesus' feet, praising God, giving thanks to Jesus because he was healed. Uh,
So
and
let's
he
track.
and he was a Samaritan.
And why is that? Do you know why that's significant? It's not in the book. You can't read it. You won't know. If you don't know, it's okay. He was a Samaritan like the woman at the well. He was a half Jew. He wasn't even, what did Jesus say? It's not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Okay? Samaritans were half Jews, and he was the only one that returned. So this is good. I love this. So watch. Just a thought. You know why Jesus told him to go to the priest, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Well, I know you know that he said to do it, but I want to know if you know the legal reason why he told him to do it. There was a legal reason he told him to do it.
Because once they were healed of leprosy, they had to prove themselves to the priest that they were cleansed.
They had to be declared that they were cleansed. That's
Yeah.
right. They had to be declared they were cleansed. But and so what Jesus commanded them to do was totally scriptural, except for one guy. Oh, here we go again. One guy broke the law, and he didn't go to the priest for a declaration that he was pure. He went to Jesus to get declared that he was whole. Are you tracking? Are you tracking?
Yeah.
Okay. So now think this. I want to give you a scenario. How many times you been to church and a drug addict, ex-prostitute, ex-alcoholic, ex-guy from prison gives his life to Christ, and the first couple of weeks he's saved, they bring him up on the platform to give a testimony, like right away. It happens so many times, and then you never see them again. You never see them again. Here's the question. Here's the question. Ask yourself, be a human. When you met Jesus, did you care more that you went and told Jesus that you got saved, or did you care more that you would go and stay to him? Let me rephrase it. Jesus says, go. Did you ever say, I want to stay? I can give you a Bible for it. Do you know when the demoniac got the demons cast out of him? He begged. Listen to me, he begged to stay with Jesus. And Jesus said, no, you have to go. Let me say it again. He begged to stay with Jesus, but Jesus said, no, you got to go. Tell him what I did for you. It's the opposite of he didn't want to stay with Jesus and he just wanted to go tell everybody what just happened. Humanizing this now, I'm bringing this down. How much do you care that you are staying with Jesus? You don't have to, ready? Just listen to the words. You don't have to show yourself to nobody. Just Jesus. You don't have to show yourself to nobody.
Oh.
Just Jesus. How many? Listen, let me give you a modern day version of this. A guy gets saved, a girl gets saved, and says, "Oh, I got a huge ministry. I'm gonna have a huge platform. I want to be on TV. I want to be. I'm going to be great." They want to be seen. And then there are those that, when they meet Jesus, are just so grateful for what he did to them that they just would rather spend time at his feet, like Mary. You're not interested in doing all the works, but we somehow we get this backwards. That's why I'm saying to you, like, when you keep thinking about how great you want to be in God, you're nowhere near him. And I know, because I did all this stupid stuff. I fell into a whole trap. I am not superhuman. I fell into the whole trap. Oh, I'll be great. I'm just going to do this for God. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this, not realizing I can't do anything. And that truly where I should be is wanting to cling to Him. Now, here's the scary part. Of every 10 people who ever come to Jesus, how many want to stay with Him? Think about that. Think about that. 10 people, only one was so overwhelmed with what Jesus did to them that he wanted to stay with Jesus. And yes, you can get saved and do this journey and realize you've been walking a long road without Jesus. And you're just like, oh, wait, I left him behind, which you never should do because you should be led, not be leading. Just food for thought. That's a really good one. Very, very good one. Who shared that again? Oh, Jay. Jay, that was great. I loved it. Thanks, buddy. Nicodemus.
I just had a question. You said like, so how do you because like last on Tuesday you're saying like God can do exceedingly abundantly far greater than you
Oh,
could
you could
ever
ask
think
your
or
thing.
ask your thing. I'm just kidding, like what's the difference between that and then like what you were just saying about not thinking about like being great and stuff?
In worship, in real intimacy with God. Take Moses and in the tent of meeting. He didn't, when he was in the tent of meetings, he wasn't thinking about himself. He was into the relationship with God. Even Joshua, listen, the Bible says that when Moses got up and left, that Joshua stayed behind. Why? Because he loved the presence. It wasn't about himself. He loved the presence. It wasn't about himself. He just loved being in the presence of God. Now, when you get into this, remember I talked about your imagination, how you worship in God, you allow God to play things through your mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flesh that starts with that. Like that's a lot of flesh that starts with that. And then eventually it goes away and you begin to hear and see God explain like I told you today, like DJ, I got some one-liners that I need to, get you to share. Like even I said this to a couple of people tonight, but one thing the Holy Spirit said to me today says, if God is with you, okay, do you live like it? If God is with you, do you live like it? So you're asking what's the difference? And the difference is it now here's something I'll say to you. I could never say to Andrew, hey, Andrew, I know your motives. Never. Unless I got divine revelation about something, I cannot know another person's motivation. Don't ever do that, by the way, guys. I beg you, don't ever look at somebody and say, I know why you're doing that. The truth is, no, you do not. You do not. You think you do. And this is the thing, Nicholas. When you are in this worship, you're the only one that's going to know your motivation behind the why. And sometimes you won't even know why. Now, listen, a lot of us come from brokenness and we get made whole by Jesus and we get super excited. And then we start to see stuff in the spirit. And then we start to really think really great things about ourselves because we're coming from we had no purpose in this world to now we have purpose. None of you want me to tell you your life is useless, you have no purpose. Because that's counter message. That's the devil's message. Jesus' message is I created you for something, to be something, to do something, and it's just because I love you. It was all motivated by love. I can never tell any one of you your motive for why you do a thing. Nicholas, it's you with your heart before God, and then knowing where that's coming from. And there's flesh involved at first. There just is nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do. Listen, there's lots of flesh all the time here. Every time I listen, if you're a young Christian and you're calling me and talking to me about God, I'm getting a lot of flesh. I'm sorry, but I am. I'm just being honest. And it's not a derogatory statement. It's just that that's all you've ever known. Could you, hey, Nick, here's a good example. Hey, Nick, explain to me what it's like being a grandpa. Love to hear it. And endow me with your wisdom about children and all the grandchildren you have. Andrew's going to go, you have no grandchildren. Why are you talking? Yeah, but it's the idea of it. No, man, you're in your flesh. Have a kid first and make them have a kid and then be a grandparent. That makes sense. Right, Andrew? See? It makes sense. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, we could write books on the things people have said to us that just are not even. Billy, when you're sitting talking to somebody and they're telling you something that they think is really spiritual and is from God, what do you feel like inside?
I'll be quite honest with you. When that starts happening, it's on. There's a couple of them that do that. And it's kind of like having a boat motor between your ears that won't shut off.
No. I know, so I'm asking you.
Yeah, but
it's really hard.
When y'all was talking about those 10 blind, the only one you only had out of all that healing, you only had one that could spiritually see after that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
others might have been able to see, but that spiritually no, because they would have went back if they had. And if you
Yeah.
look at the son of Timaeus, one of the greatest miracles that he laid his eyes on when he saw himself, he realized that he's no longer a blind man begging on the side of the road.
Right. Right.
So
True sight.
I said that before, didn't
I don't know. Yeah, boat motor.
Yeah. Yeah, let me turn mine off.
No, that's good. That's good. Somebody had their hand up. No, somebody had their actual hand up in the corner. Okay. Amy, you keep putting your hand up. Amy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you got.
I wanted to ask about both the thieves that was insulting Jesus, right? There was one thief who was they were both criticizing Jesus, and they were mocking him, and they were shouting at him. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but yes.
So, like I said, what you call this? There were these two thieves on the cross beside Jesus. So one was mocking him, one was insulting him, and then at the very split second, one of the thief started to change his heart. He started from mocking Jesus, he started repenting, and he just goes from hopelessness to hopeful in a split second. So even though there was no baptism, there was no opportunity for confession, repentance, and belief, but Jesus could see his faith, or maybe his genuine heart. So I believe, when I read about this, I was thinking that what we need is actually a repentance. What we need is actually a faith to be saved. Is it correct?
Well, yeah, without faith, you can't be saved. But I want to make something clear. I want to clarify something. The correct explanation of what happened at the cross is found in the book of John. And you have to go by that one because John was at the cross and he heard the two people. Only one of the thieves spoke against Jesus, not the second one. The second one never cussed out Jesus and then all of a sudden repented. He didn't do that. But with you can't be saved without faith. You have to have, so how did the guy on the cross demonstrate faith? In this one simple statement. He said, "Remember me when you enter into your kingdom." That's all he needed. That was it. Because he had the faith to see that Jesus was God. He succumbed to it. Here's the second thing he did. He rebuked the other thief because he said to him, he said, "You and I deserve what we got, but this man has done nothing wrong." Okay. And anyway, that whole just by the way, here's a great way to read the Bible. When you're reading a Bible story and you're getting the information, sometimes it's different in one book than it is in another. And the reason why it is because of the firsthand account. So I'm going to give you an example just to make you laugh. You've read the book of Matthew, right? Matthew writes in his own book in chapter 8 that he met Jesus. Think about that for a second. Matthew says in chapter 8, I met Jesus. The first 7 chapters, where did he get all that information from? It's secondhand information given to them, like Mark. Mark was like the book of Mark. I don't know if you guys know this, but he probably was about 6 years old when Jesus walked the earth. The guy who wrote the book of Mark, and he was either Peter's cousin or Matthew's friend, but he got his gospel secondhand from an apostle because Mark was not, and neither was Luke. They weren't actual disciples. Well, I mean, like from the original 12, is what I'm saying. Just so you know. So, Amy, when you're reading a story and you're getting, because I know one of the gospels says, I believe it's Matthew, he says they were hurling abuse at Jesus. Now, Matthew says, no, they weren't. Only one of them was. Well, why do you know that, John? Because I was there. And some of the details, Andrew was bringing this up to me today. Sometimes there are details missing from books because they're irrelevant. They're to the writer, not to us. So, for example, I told Andrew, there are no parables in the book of John. The book of John is the only book that records the Last Supper in terms of its content, of everything. As a matter of fact, let me say this to you. There are 4 chapters, maybe 5, completely devoted to the Last Supper. The other Matthew, Mark, and Luke never did it. Didn't record any of it. Billy, what kills me is I can't believe John remembered all of that. Like all of that. Like what that whole priestly prayer, that whole thing, I can't believe you, like the Holy Spirit's amazing. Like how he remembered to write all that down is insane. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's great.
You know, I think the reason why he could is that Jesus brought John into the relationship between him and the Father when John laid his head on his chest. My question is, what did John hear?
Mhm. Good one.
And so I think it was so, I think the gospel was so intertwined with him, he couldn't forget it if he wanted to.
One thing I wanted to add to that, Billy, you're right. The book of John was the last book written in the New Testament,
Yeah.
and he wrote it after he came back from heaven.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he said there's a bunch of things that he heard he wasn't allowed to communicate.
Right.
Same as Paul. Same as Paul. And I find that fascinating because I wonder what that was. Oh, hey, can I say something that came to me today?
Yeah.
You know the most amazing sound that will ever resonate in your ears? Just 1 second. 1 second, Josh. I was thinking about music. You know how we love music? You know how you love the sound of a song? And then I was thinking about God writing music and how God could always write a better song. I know it's hard to understand. Like, God could write a song, but I'll write one better forever. Forever. Okay? Listen. So he could make a tune for you that is like mind-blowing, right? You know what he said to me today? He said the most amazing sound you'll ever hear in eternity in your existence is the sound of Jesus. And I was just like, do you ever wonder when John said when Jesus spoke, it sounded like many waters? Like it's mind-boggling. The sweetest sound, the most amazing sound to the human ear is the voice of Jesus. There is nothing, nothing, nothing that sounds better. I
Yeah.
just found that fascinating. Josh asked a question. Josh, do yourself a favor, because I want to punish you and make you do the work. Josh, I want you to go and I want you to Google the Apostle John, Apostle Luke, Apostle Mark, Apostle whoever you're asking about, and I want you to read about them. I want you to investigate how old they were. Do you know John, James and John were teenagers? Wait till you read it. Wait till you read it. It's going to be amazing. You'll love it. I'm telling you, you'll have a whole new appreciation for Matthew, Mark, and Luke. It'll blow your mind. And John, it'll blow your mind. I promise. But if I just sit here and tell you, oh, they were young, you'll just get off the call and then never investigate their lives. And the point of this call is actually their lives, your life, and the life they had to endure to get to where they had to go. Sorry, just 1 second, Andrew. Josh, just bringing this up. James and John were teenagers who worked for their father. And Jesus said, come follow me. And his dad let them go. Think about that. Jesus shows up in your life. I'm going to word this weird to you. Jesus shows up in your life and says, I want you to leave your family behind. Andrew, my man, what's up? Click, click, click. Clickety click.
Yo, yo, yo.
You
Now I
don't
just
have to
wanted
be.
to go over the revelation that of what you've been saying lately. You remember the other day you said, whose fruits are they? And I was like, oh, the fruits of the spirit. And you're like, remember that, the
Yeah,
fruits of the spirit. And then we are talking about in the Bible in John 6, I think he said, what is the work? And Jesus says, to believe in me.
right.
And then the reason I brought up Cain is because he got angry
Back to Cain.
Yeah, because
I
read
love you because you never give up. You're in
no,
for the long
because
haul.
all revelations tied together. But he got angry, and he said that that sin is like crouching or waiting or
Out
whatever.
the door.
But again, you got to master it. You got to master it. But what occurred to me is that Jesus also says that he's the root, and the fruit is from the Spirit, and we're the branches, and apart from him, I can't do nothing. So Cain could never master it.
Right.
So what I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is, we were talking before, everyone got on, and I'm trying to produce the fruit myself,
Right.
but I can't, because I'm reading it as I got to master it, and I got to do this, and I got to do that.
So here's a great thought then. How many times has God told us, that your issue, okay, let me use the words. I want to read the words to you because I want you to look this up. This is your homework, okay?
Yeah. Hold on.
I want you to investigate, what does the terminology mean? Sin is crouching at the door. He says, and its desire is for you, but you must master it. I want you to read up on that Genesis 4, do some reading, and find out, what did that mean? Okay, because you made a statement that he couldn't, and you were talking about bearing fruit, and God would never have told him, why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, will it not be lifted up?
Right.
Okay, so he said, you must master it. God would never have told him to master it if he couldn't do it, but he was asking him about a specific thing. I don't want to give it away. I want you to read it, because when you read it, first of all, investigate why his countenance fell. Okay, I don't want to tell you why. I want you to read it. So the question is, when you realize why Cain's countenance fell, then you'll realize why God is telling him to master it. Something's crouching at the door. Okay, it fell because of a very specific reason. Find out what that is, okay?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. Thanks,
Yep.
man. Hey, we need to make an underwear line and call it, instead of Fruit of the Loom, we call it Fruit of Jesus. And then put holes in it and just say it's holy underwear. Oh, my jokes are bad. Oh, my jokes are bad. Okay, John Betts.
All right. Hey, well,
Why's your
Andrew,
camera off? Are you in your car?
yeah, I'm driving home now. Yeah, I
Okay.
ended up working late, and I was all the time like, nope, I'm just gonna stay here and join the call.
Donna said that's weird. Thanks, Donna. I appreciate that counsel. Get it? I appreciate the counsel. Oh, Donna, my joke was so good right there. Okay, go ahead, John.
So Andrew brought up the root and bearing fruit and being part of the branch. So he gave me a little bit of homework about trying to learn the life cycle of a fruit tree.
I did.
And what a little bit I found that really appealed to me was the whole pruning process. And I thought it was really interesting that, so you got little buds on there, little nodes that are either gonna be for leaves or it's gonna be for fruits. You can look at and identify they are definitely different. But if you want a branch to grow more, you actually prune it back even further. So that a branch that sprouts out that first year of wood, you will cut it back almost to the base of it if you want to grow 2 to 3 foot, compared to if you cut just like the last 3 inches of it to a node, it may only grow 6 inches to a foot next year.
So I have
And
a question, but here's my question.
okay,
Maybe you're going to answer it, but I just want to make sure we go here. What is the purpose of the pruning?
to control its growth.
So how does it control? How does it control its growth?
When you prune it, there is a growth response that comes into it the following
So then what happens? So what happens? Can you technically say what happens, or you haven't got there yet?
Yeah, the best I got was it introduces, the more it gets pruned back, the greater the growth response is going to be the following season.
But why?
Yeah, I guess I didn't get that part.
Go look it up.
Okay.
Go look, because I'm gonna give a perfect example. A perfect example of pruning. Okay.
Okay.
So you're living your life, and I'll make this up. You watch television 5 hours a day.
Okay.
God says, cut 4 hours of that off and just do it for one, so that you could be more productive in another area.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Something else that I just remembered.
Nope,
So,
nope, nope. I'm not feeling it. I'm not.
Okay.
Stop. I'm not
All right.
feeling it. No, I just want you to think for a second. You're growing in Jesus,
Mhm.
and you're all over the map. I want to do this. 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 And Jesus cuts it all off so that you can use all your energy to just do this.
Yeah.
Because he pruned off the excess, it enabled you to be more productive and fruitful by sending your
Yeah.
energy to the one life vine that you have. Just really do me a favor though. Really get to the process of what actually happens to the tree because you pruned it. The actual technical reason why, because when you see it, you're going to see how God gets you to be more fruitful.
Just not waste your energy. Our place is not as productive.
100%.
Yeah.
And most people want to do things that God don't want them to do, but you justify it in your head. It's not spiritual. It's you fleshly justify it because you think it's God, and it's not. So he has to shipwreck you, cut you, trim you, prune you, isolate you. I can think of 1,000 ways, but he does it because he gets the most out of you when he does that to you. Now, and I will say this one other thing. When he says he'll know, you'll know them by their fruits, and then there's the fruit of the Spirit, they are not the same at all. Not the same. Two completely diametrically different fruits. Different. And we can get into that another time, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good job though. I love your heat, Johnny Betts. You're bringing the heat, bro. What are you painting? What are you painting? Are you drywalling or painting, or what are you doing, Christian?
I'm both. I'm drywalling and painting 3 walls in the garage. I pretty much gotta have it done by Sunday so that stuff can be moved into here from another spot. And don't have a lot of hours to finish it by then, so I'm working a little late on it.
All right. Awesome.
But I'm
Thank
happy
you for coming.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm happy John made me get on the call. I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of drained. I still got stuff to do. He was like, just listen.
I recorded it, man, and listen. One of the things I want to say to you, I'm not trying to speak against what John told you or not said to you, but truthfully, guys, when you're really tired, just don't come on the call. Just wait. I'm getting off. Just hold on 1 second.
Okay.
When you're tired, I have FOMO. I don't even know what that means. What's FOMO?
Fear of missing out.
Oh, fear of missing out. Okay, sorry. Wow. Anyway, I'll always say this to you. If you're super tired, you're just better not to show up. Go get some sleep. Go get some rest because you're not going to retain the information. The message is recorded. You'll live. And it's not that I'm going to stop.